All right, folks, it's time for Different again. It's that nearly twice a month show that we have here at deepelmonair.com. And I have two great guests for you today. Josh Marsh, board member of YFT, and Yadi, why don't you all introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Josh Marsh. I'm a board member at Youth First Texas.
And my name is Yadi Martinez, and I have a company, Mixed Media Art Studios, and we provide assistance for nonprofit organizations, artists, and design work and those like that.
Awesome. And we're going to talk about those wonderful groups or organizations. And let's start with YFT. Josh, you're a board member of YFT as well as a youth at YFT. First, talk a little bit about what Youth First Texas is.
Well, Youth First Texas is an organization based near downtown Dallas, specifically about 5 minutes away. We provide an area that gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered, questioning, allied, and pretty much any other letter of the alphabet you can think of can come and hang out and socialize in a safe space. We also offer a free counseling program to our youth that need it, and we kind of act as the safety net in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex for youth of those designations that I said about earlier, pretty much any letter of the alphabet you can think of. So whenever there's a youth that is in need of assistance and they come to our organization, we do whatever we can to kind of boost them back up and get them to where they need to be.
That's right. And y'all also do some fun stuff. Like this past Saturday, y'all went to, I went there too, to the Perot Museum of Natural Science. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, we have a lot of donors and stuff like that will fund trips to the Perot Museum, Six Flags, the ice show at the Gaylord Texan, things like that. So that kind of goes into the whole providing the social experiences for gay youth and lesbians, etc. I'll just use LGBT to be as inclusive as possible.
Yeah. What's the perspective that you're a youth as well as a board member? Tell us about how that dynamic works. And how you became a board member while still being 14 to 22, so within that age range.
I'm 20 years old. Well, I was approached by David Frutiger. And the initial kind of idea came up, I don't know, it was like a year and a half, something like that when it was first mentioned to me. And eventually it just kind of came to fruition, and I got an email from David in the form of a board application asking me to fill that out, and they voted on it. My position in the organization is basically to act as sort of a liaison between the youth and the board of directors. We used to have a youth board, and eventually that kind of phased out, and we're trying something new now with having actual youth on the board as voting board members to see how that works.
Oh, so you have voting privileges. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. Yadi, as a volunteer at YFT, talk about what you do as a volunteer at YFT.
I actually provide artistic services for YFT. I volunteer my time doing design work for them for several events, as well as editing video and things like that, so I can help them out. It's a great organization. I volunteer my time, but to be able to give more to the community, be able to give them design work or videos and things like that, we can enhance that. What they're doing, that mission, and put it out there for others to see. And
okay, Josh, what's one of your favorite experiences at YFT as a youth?
One of my favorite experiences at YFT as a youth is probably the Halloween party that we did. On Halloween was pretty fun. I think that was a very, very fun event. We usually what we do is we hire a DJ, and we have a big room in YFT that we use as our main meeting space and things like that. And rather than hiring a DJ, we actually set up a Kinect and an Xbox and did a dancing competition. That was a lot of fun.
Yadi, as a volunteer, what was your favorite experience at YFT?
Wow. The last one we went to, the 13th anniversary for YFT, was a great time for me to meet people that have been there for the center and have been able to assist, and to also see the youth participate and to get to know all these different people in the community that have helped through the 13 years to keep the center going. It was a very amazing experience for me.
And it was also a fundraiser, right, for it? I believe.
We did. It was what we call like a soft fundraiser for us. So while the primary purpose of the event was to recognize heroes in the community and also those who have contributed to YFT over the years, we also had a setup in the back boardroom where we had a bunch of picture frames, and people were allowed to almost like buy a program at YFT. So you could pay $50 for one of the Friday night dinners that we do, where we sit down and have a family night dinner, and so people could buy the food from that, things like that, and they could also just give plain out donations, and we also had a suggested donation of $40 at the door. So from that event, I'm trying to remember, but I think we raised, I think it was $700 or something.
That's
ballpark
pretty
like
good.
that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a pretty successful event for a fundraiser.
Yeah. Why aren't there more organizations like YFT out there for LGBT youth out there?
I think part of that is just the fact that it takes a lot of work to keep YFT up and running. And also it takes even more work to start up an organization, any organization, not just YFT. So as far as why there aren't other organizations like YFT, well, I mean, there's a very specific niche in the DFW Metroplex that has been filled by YFT. So any other organization that was trying to start up to kind of replicate what YFT was doing would probably, it's like two people competing for a niche. It probably just wouldn't work out very well. So I don't really see why anyone would do that.
Especially when it's a organization that is geared just for the youth.
Yeah.
And that's what makes that organization work so well, is it's just for the youth.
It's a lot easier to donate to an organization that already exists rather than to make another organization.
Right, but why do you think there aren't other organizations in other metroplexes or other rural areas even?
As far as areas that like aren't dense with city population, stuff like that, it's just that there are less resources in one area. Right. I think Austin has an organization that's similar to YFT. I haven't heard too much about them other than the fact that I think they exist. I'm not sure about Houston.
All right. And one interesting thing about YFT is that they have actually two locations. There's the one in Dallas, and then there's the one in Collin County, is it? Mm-hmm. And the thing I find interesting about that is because the one in Collin County, it's not Dallas, it's not like densely populated, and it's not Collin County is not quite a rural area where there's like nobody there. It's, how do I describe Collin County?
Suburban.
Yeah, it's like a suburban area of the DFW Metroplex where they have enough people that actually have a good population, but without it being overcrowded. And I was wondering maybe why there aren't
more branches.
Yeah, like that.
Areas.
Or if that Collin County is actually like a special case, like.
Well, Collin County, I mean, specific circumstances lead to whatever results they lead to. So Collin County exists because a certain group of people took the initiative to make it exist. And we're actually trying to, branch out into other areas. We were looking at Denton for a while, and that's kind of, we're still thinking about that and trying to make that happen. And as far as just other areas, we have people that will email us from, I don't know, you name a random suburb around Dallas, and kind of ask about, well, what do you think about us making a YFT branch in
Tarrant County?
Tarrant County, there you go, in Tarrant County or something like that, and then it's just a matter of working with them to make it happen. And so it kind of goes back to that starting up an organization, even if it's just the branch of an organization, is always really hard to do. So we'd love to have more branches of Youth First in different parts of the suburbs around the Metroplex. It's just hard to start them up, and so it's something to work on.
Right. Yadi, you are the leader of a trans Latino group. Am I?
Yeah, recently we started a trans Latino group called Trans Espiritus, and this actually came to be after I attended a convention that was a trans faith convention in North Carolina around August. And when I returned, I realized that there was trans people who wanted to also be spiritual, who wanted to find a place within spirituality. And so we started talking with TENT, Transgender Education Network, with Dr. Oliver Bloomer. And he was able to give me the information and help me, mentor me, kind of hold my hand, and assist me in providing that information for Latinos in Spanish. And so that's pretty much what we're doing, is getting information from different organizations like Tint, also Trans Black Men.
Oh, that's a great organization. It's on the list of organizations that I'm going to interview at some point.
Yeah,
There's a lot of those.
what is it, blacktransmen.org?
Yes, I believe that's what it's called.
With Carter Brown. And, you know, people like that, Reverend Camarian as well, Anderson. And it was finding that there is a need, that there is, especially in the Latino community, to access that information that is very valuable for trans people.
Why is there a need in the Latino community, in particular, for this organization? Is it because of the language barrier?
Yes, the language barrier. I have a cousin who's transgender, and I've seen what the struggles that she went through, accessing information, trying to find, you know, a place, and she has done amazing on her own. And to be able to provide that information for others that are going to take the same journey she did is just crucial, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And when do you meet for that organization?
We meet at Cathedral of Hope at 12 o'clock. And I would say 12 to 1, but it usually goes over probably 2 or so.
That's probably because y'all have so much fun, right?
We do. We have so much to talk about. And it's just a great opportunity for Latinos to come and just speak in their language and ask the questions they have. And in fact, the past meeting we had trans people that speak only English, and we had trans people that speak only Spanish. And so I spent the time translating between them. And after a while, it didn't even seem like there was a language barrier. And
Wow.
that's my goal. My goal is that we're able to create that dialogue and to be able to show them that they're not alone, that there is a place for them.
That's very important. And I think both of y'all are doing wonderful things that by helping young people feel like they're welcome and not alone in this somewhat harsh environment in this particular time in America and as well as in the Latino community as well. And that's just wonderful what y'all are doing. What are some of what's the organization called again?
Trans-Spiritist.
Trans-Spiritist?
Latin,
okay. How did you get the Latin word trans-spiritist from? Like, what was the thought process behind that?
When I went to the Trans Faith Convention, I met Monica Roberts from Transgria, I believe. That's how you say it.
Oh, yeah, I think that's how you say it. She has a wonderful blog that I occasionally read here and there.
Yes,
yeah.
And she had a speech during that conference, and it just inspired me because she was able to say, you know, we are able to be trans and be Christian. We're able to be trans and believe in God, and that's fine. And, you know, it's sort of like saying we're here to take our place.
Mm-hmm.
In ministry or in everything there's out there. You know, we're just as important as anybody else. And so that speech inspired me when I returned to do something. And as I was talking to Dr. Oliver, we were throwing names back and forward, and he sort of mentioned being spiritual. So we just translated into Latin, spiritus, and it sort of went from there. And then it was the fun part of trying to come up with a logo. So I work with him and also a reverend at Cathedral of Hope, Reverend Alejandro de la Torre, which is from the Latin congregation. And I think I sent like 25 different logos to them. I mean, I just bombarding them with all these ideas back and forward till we finally came up with something. And it just worked because it also translates. If you were to write the word trans-spiritus, even if you're not going for Latin, it says trans-spirit us.
Yeah.
And so it just absolutely just fell into place.
So what does the logo look like? After the show, I'll probably put up the link to the website and everything to the Facebook page, of course. So help us get an image in our heads of what the logo looks like.
Well, it's the regular transgender sign, of course. And it's done in a brush type of text, so sort of like sin. And it says trans, and the word spirit is in the middle of the logo, and then us right after the logo.
Okay, sounds good. Josh, are you going to any colleges right now?
Yeah, I go to SMU.
What are you majoring in?
Biology and chemistry.
What do you plan to do with that? You have like really quick answers. Like elaborate.
Sorry. Well, sorry.
It's fine. It's just really
I'm
funny. I'm
just
like,
one of
wow,
those-
I've never had a guest that has been so ready to answer a question before.
Yeah,
have to
well,
think.
I'm one of those people. Everybody gets mad at me because they text me and I have like the one word quick answer. So
I actually
I'm
love
just
those.
like that.
I actually love those. But yeah, elaborate.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm studying biology and chemistry. I want to go to med school. That's my Oh, I can't say ultimate goal because my ultimate goal is to be a doctor, and my ultimate goal isn't to be in school. But I want to go to med school, and as far as like my specialization, I obviously have to wait until like I go through all the different rotations to really decide.
So you don't
like-
know exactly which specialty you want to go into yet.
Not exactly, but I'm leaning towards like ER doc. It's kind of what I'm looking at.
So intense
Yeah.
stress,
Yeah.
intense stuff. Okay,
Fun
good luck. Yadi, Yadi, what did you do for a living?
I'm a graphic designer.
Graphic design.
I'm a
Oh,
graphic designer.
and so that's how you're able to help out with
Right,
YFT and
Exactly.
the
And I
trans.
do freelance
virtualists, yeah.
artwork as well. So
Oh, so you are your own boss.
I work for a company right now.
Oh, you work for a
I
company,
would love
okay.
to just stay at home and be my
Okay.
own boss.
When I hear
but
people say like freelance, I think, oh, that's so awesome. They're their
if
own.
you hire me, I'll do
person.
some work for you. That's
So
much
basically,
freelance.
you work for a company, but on the side, you can do other stuff
Right.
as a freelance.
It's freelance.
Okay.
But I've been able to focus on helping organizations,
Okay.
especially YFT and, like I was mentioning, the congregation, Latina, helping them out with artwork, bulletin work, and I handle their social media, things like that.
hmm And Yadi and I actually go to the same church, Cathedral of Hope, as I've mentioned before. And one thing I really love about it, and I would love to hear like your perspective, since you are a parent of a. Go ahead, talk about your kid.
My boy,
Yeah, your boy.
he's very gender variant, I guess. He's still not identified as anything, but he is, he wants his bake oven for Christmas. He hates sports. He loves gymnastics. He doesn't like to get his hands dirty or anything like that. I mean, he's his own personality, and we just love that about him.
Yeah, and talk about being a parent and being married, right? Maybe okay. Yes, married and going to the Cathedral of Hope. A lot of people think oh, gay people, they don't have families and they don't go to church, but Cathedral of Hope isn't really. Cathedral of Hope shows that that's not really true. So talk about being able to take your family to a church that is welcoming.
Well, to be able to sit in a pew or to be able to go to communion with my partner or to be able to do anything with her in the open is just amazing. I was raised in a very fanatical religious upbringing. So I know that if I was to show up to my, church I grew up with my partner holding hands, it would probably be, sat down with some holy oil and cast some demons and things like that. So to be able to have that option, to be able to go to events and things like that with her is just amazing. And the reality is, I wouldn't be able to help organizations and do what I do if I did not have a strong partner at home who is holding the fort while I'm gone.
What's her name?
Her name is Shelly.
That's awesome. Josh, I'm really bad with words right now. Josh, are you dating anybody?
Not at the moment, no.
So guys in SMU, single. Just saying.
There we go.
There you go. Trying to help you out there.
Appreciate it.
Fun little fact. Different is also a dating service. Not really.
You're gonna start
Not
getting
really.
calls.
Start getting calls.
Our first caller.
Our first caller says he's
I was gonna start asking you. Like,
says
long
he's
walks.
he likes long walks on the beach and enjoys sunflowers and music that sounds nothing like One Direction. That's right. He likes Metallica. He likes Metallica instead.
I'm gonna go put that on my Facebook. I like music that sounds nothing like One Direction. There
Yeah,
we go.
you have to be specific.
You have to get very
The
specific.
Get very
opposite
specific.
of One
The exact
Direction.
opposite. I like pirate metal. I listen to Ailstorm.
There we go.
Which is an actual real band, and that's an actual genre.
Wow.
Yeah, every time I listen to a song by Ailstorm, I just want to make a show just based around like one song an episode. Basically, like they will sing about with ale he will not fail. Da, 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 da. I could make an entire entire episode based off the lyrics off of one one song, and you can have an entire season off of one album off of them. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. How did we get to talking about pirate metal?
Segue. Well, no.
Segue.
I don't know what we're segueing to, but there we go.
Segueing to Pirate Radio was a movie about pirate radio, and sometimes I feel like Deep Elm on Air is pirate radio, like we're underground.
You should totally get a boat and just like go out and be a pirate radio service. Wasn't there like
Yes, it was.
Pirate radio is like that British.
Yeah, it
thing
was.
that they did that,
It happened in Britain, and basically these people didn't want to follow the Britain's version of the FCC, so they just figured out if they were in international waters, like if they traveled far enough out into the open sea, that technically what they were doing was not illegal because they weren't within any particular country's borders.
Yadi, did I steal your water or is this mine?
No, I got mine
Okay.
over here.
But because their equipment was so strong, people in the UK could still listen to the music.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
Well, if you need me to translate, I'm there with you.
We were actually, I'm not going to say where to yet, but we are moving. We're going to get a studio. I don't know if I'm the first Deep Elm on Air host to be able to say that, but we are. It's awesome.
So why don't you tell us about that studio, Joel?
I can't say
Switch
much.
seats here.
I don't know if I can say much about it right now because we're
No.
still in the developing phases, but what I've seen is pretty cool. We're
You
gonna
need
have-
some murals, you let me know.
Oh,
on a
we actually
scale.
do have, we're working on like the side art is going to be pretty cool. Like
Because we can get YFT
Mhm.
to come out and we can work on some murals.
we could get
Oh,
YFT to
on the spot.
volunteer making murals for the local music
Because
scene.
we talked about that at one point.
Really?
We did talk about that at one point.
This is
doing
awesome.
A mural.
Mhm.
And
I'm going to have to talk to Jansen about this.
You know what I've recently seen that I had the idea of what we could do, because it would we'd probably get more like places, whoever owns the wall that we're painting on, to get to say yes, is if you've seen moss murals where you get some moss and you put it in a blender with like milk or yogurt or something like that, and you blend it and make a pasty thing, and you paint on the wall with it, and you water it like once a week, and it grows because it's moss, and it's really cool.
Is Dallas humid enough to actually maintain
I have no
moss?
idea.
I think this sounds a great idea if we lived in
Mold.
Well,
Florida.
actually, I've seen
Florida.
is this mold?
Is this
mold. We could do mold graffiti. There
mold
we go.
with food coloring.
There we go.
Wow. That sounds interesting. Wow, I'll have to talk to Jansen
There's
about
an
this.
idea.
About help getting the
Just
kids
have your
from Youth
entire
Fair.
studio just be like a big thing of green moss. I think this is a fabulous idea.
I don't know if it's humid enough in Dallas for this idea. I think we'd only be able to do this during the spring?
I don't know.
I like that idea though, moss. Maybe we can make it an event at YFT, like making a moss mural on like the street.
Mhm.
So that way we don't have to really worry about it ever living. That way we can just see it, take the picture, and be done with it.
There we
Therefore, we
go,
don't have to
yeah.
worry about it having to keep up like with watering our moss.
Yeah.
Watering our moss. I feel like that should be
Watering
an
Our Moss.
album
It's a
cover.
song.
It is watering moss.
No, I don't know.
Oh,
It would be a
I
song.
bet it is if we Google it. Pandora, iTunes, somewhere.
Probably.
Yeah. Let me think. Is there anything else y'all want to discuss? Talk about? Anything else going on in your lives?
So how about that airline food?
Peanuts.
Yeah.
I used to love them. They're gone now because too many people have peanut allergies.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
horrible.
wow.
Thank you guys for coming on today, and that's about all we have today for Different. Stay tuned. This is the last episode of the year for Different, so be tuned for next year. Thank you. Good, and I'm gonna lead y'all out with our theme song, "Different" by Ellie. If I can get it up. There we go.
Who takes me out for pancakes and leaves my heart undone? You have this way about you, I just can't help but somehow. Come tell me all your secrets. Let's sit and talk it. Wow, we look different and we find another, but we'll say we've got each other. Each other is enough to make it through.